converting scientific knowledge into useful practical applications where the materials and force in nature are effectively used for the benefit of mankind. And an engineer is a person who plays a very important role in such activities. For example, if you wanted to do some work, okay, unnecessarily we are wasting the energy. We should know how much energy is required. So that can be done by a engineers. Okay, unnecessarily the human being who is employed for doing a particular work, he is perfect by doing the things, but he might be not knowing the consequences, how much energy has to be applied, and what going to happen if I apply more. These consequences we are aware of, where the normal people will not be. Well, now next is civil engineering. It is the oldest branch of professional engineering where the civil engineers are concerned with the project for the public and civilians. I have written some of the roles of civil engineer in day-to-day life and development activities such as follows. First one is providing shelter to the people in the form of low-cost housing to high-rise apartments. So we work for low-cost housing where we can optimize the things and reduce cut off the cost. Uh, so the sentence stands for the civil engineer can do pakka house and kacha house. Kacha house is nothing but low-cost housing and high-rise building as called as pakka house. Number two, laying ordinary village road to expressway. We start working from a village road that is made up of earth, soil alone to the superior quality of road that is expressway. Number three, construction irrigation tank multipurpose dam canal for conveying water to the agriculture. Okay, we are involving in constructing of what the irrigation tanks. Irrigation tanks are nothing but talabs. Okay, kere in Canada, and then supplying safe and potable water for public and industrial use. Okay. Now, whatever the water we draw from underground, whether it is fit for drinking or not, we don't. So that test will be conducted by the civil engineers. Okay, we have separate laboratory, environmental lab, in which we test the water and we come to know whether the water is fit for drinking or not. Then protecting our environment by adopting serious treatment and solid waste disposal techniques. Nowadays, every day, our household, the municipality people will come to our household and collect the household waste and take it to some remote area and dispose of. There is segregation of solid waste management takes place. So they will separate the things which can decompose easily, which cannot decompose easily. The land which cannot decompose, that we go for landfilling kind of things. Then constructing hydroelectric power, thermal power plant for electric generation. These things are considered by civil engineers. Providing other means of transportation such as railway, harbour, and airport. Other than roadways, we have railways, harbour, and airport. You might be thinking that how these civil engineers are concerned with this harbour and airports. Now, a harbour is nothing but it is a platform or a stand meant for loading and unloading of goods in a ship's takes place. That we call as bandargahs, that is known as harbours. Airport, of course, the takeoff and landing of the aeroplane takes place. The platform is done by the civil engineers that we call as the runways, and that on which the movement of the aeroplane takes place. That is also done by a civil engineer. Construction of airport, of course, we the civil engineers are concerned with. Then 8, constructing dams across streams, rivers, and all across the seas. Nowadays, civil engineers are accepting challenges to construct the tunnels under the water. You can just Google a keyword in a Google, you will get plenty of example of tunnels which are constructed beneath the water. Okay, across the mountain. Then, as seen above, civil engineering is very broad discipline that incorporate many activities in various fields. However, civil engineers specialize themselves in one field of civil engineering. So let us discuss. We have 7 to 8 different branches of civil engineering. So we'll go one by one. First is surveying. It is science and art of determining the rate of position of the points on the Earth's surface by measuring distance, direction of vertical heights, directly or indirectly. Here I mean to say that if you have a ground, okay, it will be undulated, something like this. Okay. It will be undulated, something like this. Now, what we do with the help of some a survey instrument, there's something mounted like this. in which will be having a telescope from which they will calculate this height. They will calculate this height. So by which you come to know how much has to be cut and how much has to be filled. For example, if I want to provide, make this ground flat. So here I need to put some soil. Here this portion has to be cut and this portion has to be filled. Okay. By calculating the relative position of the object on the ground, we come to know how much has to be filled and how much has to be cut. And this is the process we carry out in a surveying while doing the roads and all. Okay. The cost of the project can also be estimated before the implementation of the project. So we can, once the drawing is done after the surveying, by measuring land width and length and width, we can estimate the cost required to construct the particular building. That can be done by the surveying. Nowadays, using data from the remote sensing satellite is help to prepare maps. Now we can make use of GPS. Now you will be using Google Maps. How it works? Work on a GPS. By sitting at one place, we can see how the roads are aligned in different localities. Okay, then that is how. Okay, nowadays we are advanced with the technology. Next branch of engineering is geotechnical engineering. It is sometimes also called as soil mechanics. You might have understood what exactly the geotechnical engineers do. I had written soil mechanics. Here we study the mechanics of the soil strata because it is very important that entire weight of the building has to be beared by the earth beneath, because the entire load will be transferred to the earth. Okay, so that is why it's very important. First and foremost important, the foundation lays for a certain depth below the ground surface till a hard layer is reached. Unless and until we get a hard strata, we keep on digging the earth to lay the foundation. The soil should be thoroughly checked for its suitability for construction purposes. What the checking? Thoroughly check. What are going to check? We have to check the safe bearing capacity, by which you come to know that what is the load carrying capacity of a particular soil. Then study deals with the properties and behavior of soil under the load and change in environmental condition is called geology. The thing is that we have different types of soil as we move from place to place, and as we go beneath the earth, we get different types of soil, and that soil has to be tested. Okay. Now the thing is that among this different type of soil, black cotton soil plays a very important role, because this black cotton soil have a tendency that it will keep swell and shrink based on the seasonal change. When in contact with the water, it will swell, and when it exposed to the temperature, it will get shrink. The swelling and shrinking property of the soil will lead to the failure of a structure. The settlement of the column will take place. Once the columns get settled, the entire building will settle, due to which, if there is an irregular settlement, the crashes are seen on the structure and the structure collapse. So that is the main reason we have to stabilize the soil before to go for a construction. Now you might be thinking that, sir, if we have a land in a black cotton soil, do we go for construction or not? Of course we can. But the thing is that before to go for construction, the soil beneath has to be stabilized. Stabilizing is nothing but we will neutralize the swelling and sinking property by adding some lime, fly ash, GGBS, rice ash. We have some natural admixtures that if we blend with this black cotton soil, then the swelling and sinking property can be minimized. After that, we can go for construction, no issue. And one more thing is that as we dig along, keep digging, we won't get hard strata if we have a soil. Then during that case, we can increase the depth of the foundation, by which we can overcome the situation. Next is structural engineering. A building or a bridge or a dam consists of various elements like foundation, column, beam, slab, etc. This all will be designed by the civil engineer. Design is nothing but giving a cross section for this particular element which I stated just now is purely based on the load coming over it. These components are always subject to the forces. It becomes very important to determine the magnitude, direction of the nature of the forces acting all the time on the building. What you're supposed to do is, Based on the stress developed due to the loading acting on it, bending moment will develop in each and every element. The elements are this column, beam, slabs, etc., etc. So the bending will take place based on the bending moment will provide the cross section give the shape D and D, breadth and depth of the cross section. Based on those cross section, what should be the amount of steel to be added? Everything will be decided by the structural engineers. The spacing of the steel bars, diameter of the steel bars, where has to be cut, how it has to be laid, everything, the detailing will be, each and every component will be given by the structural engineer. Nowadays, it is a boom that everyone wants different shaped housing in their locality. Everyone wants their elevation should be different from the others. Giving a shape is very easy, and that is done by this architecture people. To make it withstand in reality, this is where the structural engineer come into picture. The structural engineers involved in such design activities, the use of computer in designing the members is reducing the time and also maintain accuracy. Now, this statement holds good if the one who is handling the software he should have thorough knowledge. If he won't, then whatever he give the design may not be safe. Okay, I have given the load distribution pattern. The load, whatever the load from on the slab, that will be get distributed to the beam, then beam to column, then column will transfer the load to the footing, and footing then to the earth beneath. This is how the load distribution takes place. The next branch is transportation engineering. The transportation system includes roadways, railways, and waterways. Here, the role of civil is to construct the facility related to each and every roadways modes of transportation. Sometimes crucial section of railway and road should be improved. Road to remote places should be developed. Port and harbor should be designed to accommodate all sizes of vehicles. For an airport, the runway and other facilities such as taxiway, terminal, building, control towers, etc., should be properly designed. Apart from this, I will well, everyone might be knowing after the formation of IRC, there was a committee headed by Jayakar. Okay, he has classified after the independence. He has classified 5 different types of roads. Roads. There are 5 different types of roads based on function they serve. First is national highway. Second is state highway. Third one is major district road. Then comes other district road. Next is village road. Now, village road, it is purely made up of earth. There is soil. Available soil, they may make a platform on which the movement of the vehicle takes place. Next category of road is other district road. Now, other district road are somewhat good quality compared to the village road. On this earthen road, they have gone for putting some a bitumen layer. Okay, and the width of those road are 3.75 meters. Now, major district road, these are connecting talukas to talukas. There are some superior quality compared to this other district road. Again, the width will remain same, whereas the shoulder will be provided on the other side. And the drains, of course, drain has to be provided for all kinds of roads. Next is state highway. The state highway connects districts and inter districts and what we call market centers, important market center and production centers, and having a high quality. And this width of the road, again, it will be 3.75. Sometimes it depends upon, as I told, the width of the road will be 3.75. If the traffic volume of the vehicle is more, then we can go for what a 7.5 and 7 meters, including divided is 7.5. State highway will be of 7 meters. Okay, 7 meters. Next superior quality of road is the national highway, which connects different states. Okay, now different states. Then the width of the road. Now, for example, you might have seen in the national highway, most probably will be having 2 way, one for going and one for coming, and each way will be of 7 meters, 7 meters. Okay. Okay, this is about types of road. Apart from this national highway, there is one more good quality of road, and which is called as expressway, and it is provided where the congestion of traffic is too high, and it is a superior quality of road which will have four lanes for going and 4 lanes for coming. And throughout the length of the road, there will be barricades, and there will be no interpass, or the animals cannot move from one side of the road to another side of the road. Okay, because the barricades are erected throughout the length of the road. Now, one more thing I wanted to highlight here in the transportation engineering is we reserve some land on either side of the road throughout the length of the road that we call as right of way. For example, if you have a road like this, let's say this is the width of the road, which is already constructed. We acquire some land on either side of the road, something like this. Okay, this land is reserved for future expansion. This we call as right of way. Right of way. Okay, the land acquired on either side of the road for future expansion is called as right of way. For example, nowadays most of us are from Bidar and Humnabad and Basoka land. I will take an example. From when I moved from Basoka land to Humnabad, there for widening of the road, demolition of buildings has took place because they have not acquired land for future expansion. This should not happen. Okay, whenever we lay any road, we have to think of future, or at least 2-3 decades, and design the roads. Okay, now I told we can classify the roads based on materials as well. So in our material, we have 4 different category of a road. First one is earthen road, purely of soil. Second category of a road is waterborne macadam. This waterborne macadam road is very somewhat improvised version of this earthen road, in which he has added that because macadam is a Scottish engineer, John Macadam. He has introduced this road, so his name is given to that, waterborne macadam. What he has done is he has just added broken stone, soil, then he has sprinkled some water, compacted it, due to which the life of the earthen road has been increased. After this, again the life will remain for one season. Once the monsoon comes, again it will vanish due to the monsoon. So again, the supervisor, they have, or the research keep going, and then they have introduced flexible road. Flexible or black top color road is called flexible road. Where we use a damper, okay, black, that we call as black top color. Whatever the width of the black color you see on the road, that we call as pavement, on which the movement of the vehicle. Okay, and it is flexible. And last category, 4th category of road is concrete road. It is rigid. Concrete road is also called rigid road. Sometimes in the examination, he will ask the difference between flexible road and rigid road. Flexible means bitumen road, the damper road, and concrete road, cement concrete road, rigid road. Right? Now, 3 more points I wanted to highlight here. If you have a road, for example, this is the road width. This road width is called as pavement. Okay, I'm talking about black top color. Okay, this is called as pavement. After this pavement, in the center we have a marking like this. Okay, dotted line. After this dotted line, at the end we have marking like this on either side of the road. Okay, this length, this width is called as shoulder. Okay, this width I'm talking about, which I've shaded here, this is called as shoulder, and this shoulder has to be used for emergency parking. For example, if your vehicle is moving here, if your vehicle is moving here, due to the movement, if anything goes wrong with your vehicle, okay, we should not park here itself. We have a habit that we park here and will close this area by putting some stones and all. This should not be done. The vehicle has to be taken to this place and park, because this shoulder is also known as emergency parking. The shoulder is provided for emergency parking. I'm talking about this shoulder. This is done for emergency parking. Okay. Then, as I told, the black top width is called pavement. Then comes speed breaker. Speed breaker is nothing but humps. Now, humps has to be designed so that the shock produced when the vehicle move on the humps should not be felt by the person who is sitting inside. This is, we have to give some steep slope on either side. Speed has to be restricted, but the shock should not be felt by the person. Okay, we have to keep in the motto while providing the humps. You have to keep in our mind that while providing the humps. Okay. Next comes irrigation and water resource engineering. Irrigation is a process of supplying water by artificial means to agricultural fields by raising the crops. To achieve this, we would require some canals, regulators, aqueducts, weirs, barrage, etc. to convey the water from the dams to the agriculture. And since rainfall is inadequate and insufficient or unpredictable in an area, the water flowing in a river can be stored by constructing dam and divert the water into the canals and convey to the agriculture. This can also be done. Now, hydropower, electric power generation systems also be included under this aspect. What exactly this irrigation people do? They will identify the source where the water can be stored. The stored water, whenever there is a famine condition, when there is no monsoon, that water can be drawn. Okay, the water can be drawn and conveyed to the agriculture field by means of canals and all. Okay, this can be done. Now, hydraulic engineering. Hydraulic is a branch of science and engineering which is concerned with the mechanical property of the fluids, particularly reference to the water. What I mean to say here is, if you have a bund money, it is in this side our water level is there, standing water is standing. Now the pressure created on this bund will be differ from place to place. The maximum pressure will be at the center, at the 1/3. When we measure, let's say at this point, the pressure will be maximum. From the base at a distance of 1/3, the pressure will be maximum on this bund. Okay. And for example, now in this hydraulics, we calculate the water properties, mechanical property of water. What are the mechanical property of the water? That is like engineering properties are specific gravity, pressure, density, viscosity. Okay, these are all the properties required to design. For example, I have to design pipelines, water distribution system, drainage system, canals, etc. Now, I'll give one simple example. In day-to-day life, we'll see the whistle mounted on a pressure cooker. At a particular pressure created inside a cooker, the whistle will move up and will blow. Once the pressure release, again it will come back. Now here the thing we have to understand is the weight of the whistle will lift at a particular pressure created. The weight is very important. To decide this hydraulics plays a very important role. Okay, and the thickness of the, as I told, pipelines, the thickness of the pipe has to be designed so that if the more is the pressure, it should not crack during the supply of water. And when we draw water from some source, the diameter of the pipe will be different from source to destination. So then only we can get the water with the high pressure, or else we cannot. Okay, this is all study we do in hydraulics. Next we have is water supply and sanitary engineering, that we called as environmental engineer. Head is environmental engineer, in which we have two things to be studied: water supply and sanitary engineering. Water supply is for potable water, and second is sanitary engineering, which for the water which is used. That water also we have to treat before to leave to any water bodies. Now, for example, people in every village, town, city need potable water. The water available on the surface in the form of surface water and groundwater may not be fit for direct consumption. Now, this what the environment people, they will check whether the water whatever the minerals present in a water are fit for drinking or not, are of required proportion or not, because everything has to be maintained in a proper certain ratio that has to be ensured first. In such area, the water should be purified and then supplied to the public. For water purification, sedimentation tanks, filter bed, etc., should be designed. If we require water in a large quantity, then we have to go for treatment plant. There we come across sedimentation tank, filter beds. Okay. If the treatment plant are far away from the town or the city, suitable pipeline for conveying water and distribution should also be designed. If it is far away, then from that source we have to draw the water to the locality, right? So the distribution system required. And in a town and a city, a part of water supply returns as a sewage. Whatever the water we use in a household, that will go out as a sewage. And this sewage should be systematically collected and then disposed into natural environment after providing suitable treatment. Now, I'm not saying that the water which is come from a household is toxic, but at least the water which is comes from a hospital, then industries, that has to be treated, because that water will be having some toxic material, chemicals that has to be neutralized before to leave to any water bodies. The solid waste that is generated in a town or a locality should be systematically collected, disposed of suitably. Before disposing, segregation of material should be done so that any material can be recycled and we can conserve our natural resources. Conserve our natural resources. The thing is that now, as I told, the plastics are banned. Plastic bags are banned, even though we use. Okay, now we get the garbage bag separate in a kirana store, and which is less than 40 microns, that can be recycled easily. If it is more than that 40 microns, that should not be used, which require plenty of years to decompose. One more thing I wanted to highlight here. Now, many of us have that mineral water distillery, okay, then Kinley. How many of you seen any manufacturing date on these bottles? Very rarely observe this. Okay. Do you know what is the manufacturing price of these bottles filled with the water? It is 7 to 8 rupees, even though we will buy it for 20 rupees. Being a good citizen, once we use that water from the bottle has to be pressed, because whatever the plastic used to make the bottle will emit some chemical called leachate, and which is very dangerous. Okay, which is very dangerous. Which is very dangerous. So now the thing is that once we drink the water, that has to be crushed and thrown out. You should not, please don't dispose it off as it is. Next is building material. Now, materials which are used for construction purpose and choice of material is wide and open. The material used for construction are stone, bricks, timber, mortar, concrete, etc. Now, alternate materials can also be used. Base smart materials are used for sometimes aesthetic purposes. Now, we should not stick with a single material. We have to use alternate materials which have the same quality and properties. Okay, that has to be ensured. Then we have construction technology. It is also called as construction management. It is the process of planning, organizing, handling, controlling the effort of human resources to achieve the organization goals in a certain time. Okay, for a huge mega structure, the material requirement and the man resource required is too large, where the managing the materials and the human resource plays a very important. Any construction project involve many activities and require materials, manpower, machinery, and money. The different activities should be planned properly so that we can finish it off in a set time. Next comes infrastructure. Any mega structure, big structure can be called as a infrastructure. Any structure, if it is big, okay, it's called as a infrastructure. Economic development of a country depends on a growth and production rate of industries and agriculture. In other words, infrastructure may be defined as a facility to be provided by the state or central government or local administration for the overall development of the country. Here I have given some role of the civil engineering infrastructure development. With civil engineers involved in town and city planning. So now thing is that town and city planning money, we have to locate some areas which should be easily accessible for all the people who are living in the locality. The components are hospitals, then water treatment plants, let's say garden. They have to live in a city, and the place should be feasible for all to move on. Okay. Then building tanks, dams to exploit water resources. Water purifying plant at needy areas such as houses, school, offices. Then provide drainage system. Provide and maintain communication system like road, railway, harbor, and airport. This roads, railway, harbor, and airport are also considered as infrastructure because it is for constructing these things we require too many days. Okay. They monitor land, water, and air pollution, take measure to control them. We have to now let's see some of the effects of infrastructure development and socio-economic development of it. Large scale budget provision by the government on infrastructure facility make way for rapid industrial expansion and agriculture development. This development leads to employment, reduction of poverty, and improvement in the per capita income. Consequently, rural people from rural involved in agriculture move towards urban areas for their livelihood. This has serious impact on agriculture. The other effects are urban congestion, and shortage of house facility, pollution and development of slums. Then infrastructure development are better utilized by high income people group. Okay. Some ill effect of infrastructure development are listed below. Exploitation of natural resources can lead to environmental disasters. Okay, if they required more infrastructure, what we do is we cut off the forest area. Okay, that leads to environmental disaster as the temperature will increase. Okay, then birds, animals migrate from place to place. Ecology cannot be balanced if you do so. It becomes a huge financial burden on the government and taxpayers. If you require more infrastructure, then the government will impose more tax on the taxpayers. That will be a burden for us. Migration of people from village to town and city in search of job will take place. More than infrastructure, of course, the job facility will be more, and no one want to work in agriculture field. They come to urban areas in a search of jobs. This is going to happen. Now, apart from this, as I told, in the material testing, I wanted to building materials. I wanted to tell you some hints by which we can test the materials. For example, if someone asks you to check the cement, what exactly we do? No idea. So I will let you know. Just put your palm in your freshly opened cement bag. If the cement bag you poor feeling, then you can say that is a good quality of cement. Bad quality of cement or expired cement will give hot feeling. Yes, we do have about certain expiry date for cements. The manufactured cement, which is packed in a bag, that has to be used within 6 months. After 6 months, if you have any bag, that has to be due to the retailers back, because this will not give strength as that of freshly prepared cement. Second thing is take a pinch of cement, feel in between your fingers. It should be like a powder which you apply on a talc, apply on your face. Do you know, because the micron size of the cement is the size of the cement is 90 micron. There is a reason it will disappear when you feel between your fingers. That is the second step. And then you can see the color. If it is greenish gray, then of course it is a good quality of cement. Then take a handful of cement, put it in a bucket full of water. If the particles are floating on the bucket full of water, then it is a good quality of cement. Because as the particles are very small, it has to be float for a certain time. Okay, because when it come in contact with the water, it will become dense. Then it can settle. But at least for a certain time, it has to be float. Then pat a cake. Take a handful of cement, pour water, make a paste, uniform paste. Pat a cake. Give any shape. Okay, paste cement paste. Give any shape, and whatever given shape of the cement paste, take inside a bucket full of water. Whatever you have given the shape to that cement paste, it should retain the shape when you take under the water for a certain time. Then it can be dissolved. Then we can say it is a good quality of cement. This is certain criteria we have to ensure before to buy a cement. You should not blindly go with the brand of a cement or more advertised which we get in a TV. We should not stick with those things. That is a practice for business to attract the customer to buy the cement.